Hey, appreciate you joining us today, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the CBC Home Service Success Network, where each and every week we try to share with you ideas, process, concepts, different things that can help you drive that business to the one that you dream of. Let's face it, running a business ain't easy. You got to put everything into it. This is a tough world. Things are tough out here. So, what we've got to do, we've got to put together our plan. And that's the subject matter of today's subject matter is how do you sustain the momentum that you have? So often people go to a seminar, they go to attend a webinar, or whatever it is. Maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's seeing an inspirational post on social media, but you get all fired up. But the problem is the fire goes away. The fire goes away. And personally, I think it's one of the biggest problems with so many managers. They lose their momentum. They cannot stay the course. So that's what we want to talk about today is what are the processes that you can sustain as life throws its curveballs at you? Because that's the problem. Each and every day, it's just like taking a trip. You just never know when you're going to run into a traffic backup, a traffic backup. I know earlier this week, I was going through Hartford, Connecticut. And when I left the airport, as you approach downtown, guess what? There's a delay. And the trip that should have took a little over an hour took me almost 2 hours that day to get through that maze. But I still kept going. I didn't stop. I
There's a
still kept going forward.
that should have took a little over an hour.
So how do we do this? How do we maintain our momentum? How do we sustain the path?
Hours that day to get.
So this is critical if you're going to get to where you're wanting to go in this world. So Cheryl, what's your ideas on this? Do you see people that lose their momentum that cannot sustain the growth path that they really want to do?
Yeah, I think it probably happens more than not because they they have it here. It's formed, and now in their mind, I think a lot of times they think it should progress on without having you to sustain it. It should to hold up. But like anything else, if you don't stand behind what you've already got set up, will it decrease? It always will. And I think that's a huge problem in today's businesses.
Yeah. And it also comes down, do you actually have the skills to take this to the level that you want to take it to? Recently, I was having a conversation with a client, and it was all about his numbers, his finances, and where it was at. And he finally admitted to me, he said, Jerry, here's the problem. I don't understand this. I don't understand what I've got to do. And I told him, I said, you're going to have to attend some classes. You got to read some books. You got to understand what's going on. You've got a CFO. Listen to what the CFO is telling you. Listen to what's there in order to make it happen. But you got to stay on that path every single day. It's kind of like one of the things that I've said in the past is one of the things that shuts business owners down and slows them down. It's what we call FTI. That means failure to implement. But if you implement and you don't carry it to the level that it's got to be, you're never going to ride the benefits of doing this. You have to stay on that path. And it also goes down to another thing we've talked about, which is ready, aim, fire, which you got to get ready. You got to aim for the target, and then you fire the gun. And some people get out of line on this. They fire the gun before they ever ready to move forward. But one thing I want to make sure of that you know today that if you don't sustain your path to where you're going, how many times have you thought about starting your SOP program? Think about it. But you get bogged down and nothing happens. Your price books, coming up with your pricing sheet for your people. It's a needed factor. Is it more difficult today? You better believe it because prices are changing so rapidly, it's unreal. What about job costing? Are you following the course on how to cost your jobs? and see what is possible and what you may be doing that you're actually paying your customer for the privilege of providing that service or that product for them. You've got to really stay on the path. So how do you do this? What do you do? Well, I think the first thing you do, you get up every morning and you set a plan, a path for today. What are you going to accomplish today? I think another thing you do is that you have your priorities, your goals, your commitments, because that's what goals are. You got to turn them in commitments, listed where you can look at them every day. They stare at you. Having a whiteboard on the wall that every time you're at your desk over there, you're seeing these commitments, these goals, and do you truly want to get there? It's how it happens. So Cheryl, what's your other thoughts on this subject?
Well, I was doing some research and I found what they have narrowed down to what we call the 3 pillars of sustainability. And one was environmental. That's the reduction of waste, the conservation of energy, lower emissions, use renewable products, and also consider the life cycles of the products that you sell. And also social. You need to treat your employees fairly. You need to support the community. You need to uphold human rights in the supply chain. And the third, they say, is economic. Ensure the business is financially visible while promoting fair trade and economic justice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
It really is, because it's also the word sustain is one of the 5 S's in the lean process. And lean process is recognized as a way to really get things done to accomplish more using less. So the 5 S's are as follows: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. But what we found out is so many people that embark on a lean journey with their life and their business, the part that throws them is that 5th one, the word sustain. I've seen people spend a fortune in their companies to organize their warehouse, only to go back several months later, and what we're looking at is a big disorganized mess that's costing them time, money, effort, and raising their waste factors. Same thing when you look in a truck. Are they sustaining the interior of that truck to where it's an efficient, rolling, profit-making machine? Or is it a vehicle that's fraught with disorganization, which leads to waste? And waste is a big killer of your profit, folks. So what you got to do is you got to understand that to get where you're going, it takes more than a bright idea. It takes the work to make it happen and sustaining it every single day. Sustaining your quality control checks, sustaining your lean practices, sustaining your review of what's going on, and sustaining the job costing to ensure that your business is operating at a profitable level. That's what it's all about. So Cheryl, anything else before we close out this session today?
Yeah, what I think is very important and probably the most important in my eyes is to stay resilient and consistent, because sustainability is a journey. It's not a one-time shot. You need to expect changes, but you still got to focus on those long-term goals, like you were saying, the goals on the wall. And also, this is, I think, where some people fall short. You need to build partnerships with like-minded businesses and organizations, because they will help you stay on your path.
Yep, that's it. So that's our words for today. It's not a long episode today. It's kind of brief, but we want to get this message across. How are you sustaining to get to the goals that you have? Because there's one thing for sure. If you don't sustain your momentum, then you're never going to reach those goals. You're never going to make those dreams you have for your life and your business your true reality. So anyway, short message for the day. We hope this has been beneficial to you. We're Jerry and Cheryl Eisner from CBC Success Group. Let us know how we can help you sustain your move to make your company and your life everything you want it to be. We're here to help you, and we're only a short phone call or email away. And with that, hope you have a fantastic Memorial Day that's coming up. Remember, the reason for the week for this holiday, it's not just to grill burgers. It's not just to barbecue. It's not just to lay on the beach. This is where we remember the men and the women that gave all for the way of life that we are able to have and privileged to have today in this great country we live in called the United States of America. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week on our next episode. And please know it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to speak to you every week through this broadcast. Talk to you later.